They say that truth is stranger than fiction, but I think it's more than that. I think truth is heavier. It lingers in the corners of rooms long after we've left them. Today, I'm bringing you 3 accounts that aren't mine. These are stories from people just like you, voices from the digital wilderness who reached out to share the unexplainable. They didn't ask for these moments, and most of them still can't explain why they happened. From a premonition in the cold air of Norway to a protective hand reaching out from the grave, these are real experiences from real people. They've looked into the dark, and something looked back. These are their stories. Story 1. The Star on His Chest. Our first journey takes us to the frozen landscape of Norway. Bostrak, October 2005. The air there gets thin when the frost sets in. A 15-year-old boy lived in an apartment above an Esso gas station. Just a normal life until the night of the 31st. He had a dream. It wasn't a nightmare, it was lucid. There was a child in his living room, maybe 8 years old, blonde, crying. The boy wore a striped t-shirt with a silver star right here in the middle of his chest. He spoke Swedish. He kept saying 2 words, bus accident. The dreamer woke up shaking, convinced he was about to watch a disaster happen at his front door. His father told him to get a grip, and for a while he believed him. Nothing happened that day. No crashes, no screams. But that evening, he went down to the station, and there, on the front page of the newspaper, was the nightmare he'd just woken up from. Bus accident in Tenerife. A Swedish tourist bus off the road, and there, in the center of the photo, was the boy. Aged 9, striped t-shirt, silver star. He survived, but he found a stranger in a dream thousands of miles away just to tell him he was there. We think we know how the world works, but we don't. Anything. Story 2. The Shattered Frame. Loss is a heavy thing to carry at 15. When this next storyteller lost her father, the house felt empty. But sometimes the dead don't leave. Sometimes they stand watch. She and her sister were downstairs. The TV was humming. Upstairs, her niece, a toddler, was sleeping. They didn't hear her. They couldn't. The little girl was choking in her sleep, silent, dying. Suddenly, crash! A sound like a gunshot. They ran to the stairs. A framed picture of her father, taken when he was just a baby, had flown off the wall. It didn't just fall, it shattered. Glass was everywhere. They stood there, looking at the shards, and then, in the silence of the hallway, they heard it. A small, struggling sound from the bedroom. They reached her just in time. The nail was still in the wall. The wire wasn't broken. People call it a coincidence, but that family knows better. That was a grandfather breaking the silence to save a life. Story 3. The Kiwi and the Card. Our final story comes from a woman whose grandmother had a very specific, very deadly allergy to kiwis. A year after she passed, the grief was still there. A mopey day, she called it. She went to the fridge, took 2 kiwis from a 4-pack, and ate them. Just a lonely breakfast. But the next morning, she opened that same fridge. The package was still open, but there were 4 kiwis sitting there. 2 that shouldn't exist. Maybe Grandma was just tidying up, but it didn't stop there. On the anniversary of her death, the granddaughter spoke to the empty air. She whispered, "I miss you." When she came home from work, there was a birthday card lying in the middle of the floor. It was a card her grandmother had written years ago. It had been tucked away deep inside a book on a high shelf. No pets, no roommates, just a grandmother reaching out from the other side to say, "I heard you." The world is much larger than the walls we build around us, and sometimes those walls have cracks. If you've ever seen something you couldn't explain or felt a hand on your shoulder when no one was there, tell me your story in the comments. I'm listening. And if you want to hear more accounts from the edge of reality, subscribe. It helps keep the lights on, even when they flicker. Until next time, keep your eyes open. You never know who's watching back.